Hey there, so in the last video we went over the dashboard and the different elements in ClickFunnels, and today I want to talk to you about actually going in and designing a page. So to do that, I'm going to show you how to do something that's called funnel hacking, which is taking someone else's page and using it as inspiration for your own, not directly copying and definitely not stealing their material, but using it as inspiration. And or I'm going to show you how to directly copy if you're migrating someone's page. Say you're helping someone migrate from somewhere like Lead Pages to ClickFunnels, and I'm going to show you how you can do that easily as well. So I'm going to go back into our testing funnel, and the page that I pulled up was Russell Brunson. He, helped found ClickFunnels, and so we're taking one of his pages, and I'm going to show you how you might create something like that. So we're going to create a step, and this is sales example. And it's a sales page, so I'm going to go to the sales page templates. And they have several templates that you could choose from, or you could simply start with a blank page. Now, when I look at his, well, since we're going to be trying to create this a little bit, we're going to start from scratch. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the blank page. But just know that you can definitely use the page templates as inspiration. They're there, or to use them as a base. They're there for a reason. Use them. And then I'm going to go into edit the page. Okay, so since this is technically one of his web pages on his website, I'm going to leave off, well, I guess we could recreate this actually in ClickFunnels. So the first part looks like it's 4 images. Now we can't do this, necessarily the fancy highlighting and stuff like that without code, because like I said, this is his website. It's not necessarily just a sales page. But if I wanted to create the 4 little image look across the top, what I do is first thing I want to make this green section full width, and we want 4 columns. So I'm going to create a new blue row with 4 columns right at the top. And you can see the margins here. I want to make them even smaller, so this goes right up to the top. So I'm going to change the margins on and the padding on the green section and the blue sections. And then I could add my image elements. And let's say that I felt that, it wasn't this wide. It is, but if I felt like it wasn't, I could always select and make this the percentage smaller if I wanted. Okay, so then after that, it looks like he has a navigation. So I'd want another 1 column blue row here. And I'm going to add the navigation, which is in, well, not in miscellaneous. There we go, it's in content. Navigation. And here's where I could add all my items. I can have up to 5, and in the advanced I can select how many show. And I could add those here. And again, I'd want the padding and margins smaller, so I can go ahead and adjust that as well. Okay, next, because it feels like I'm starting a whole brand new section, I'm actually going to create a new green section that is full width. I'm going to delete this, we're not using it. And I want to take away some of the padding. Okay, so next it looks like this whole section is a background image. Actually, what I should have done first, as you guys know from my last video, is we didn't go through the settings. So we might change this to sales page example, go into the font. To find, if you're trying to find out what a font is on a page, I actually have Chrome extension called Web Inspector, and when I click it, I can select and I can find out what the font is. Yantramanov, I've never heard of that. I don't know if it's actually a Google font or not. Google fonts are built into ClickFunnels, but we can look. It is not. So I would just choose something that I wanted, like, you know, Roboto. I'm just going to choose something simple. I don't know why I'm not even seeing it. Oh, there we go. And for the headlines, maybe I want this one. Okay. And for the link colors, maybe I want, you know, this previous color. Perfect. Actually, for this section, since it's dark, I would want these to be white. And then I'm going to make, oh, okay. So here was my mistake. Well, I guess this is the same color, but if I wanted to create this whole thing across, this whole bar across one color, what I would do is make sure it's in a green section of its own. So I'm going to move this element down. So now it's in a green section all by itself, and I can change the background of this section. And then I would just have to adjust the padding and margins. Okay. Okay, so it looks like this, I'm just looking down a little bit, that this, I'm going to take the inspector off, that these are smaller green sections, they're not full width, so I want this to be the background color. So I have another Chrome extension called Eyedropper, and I can select a color from a web page to find out exactly what it is, and I can copy it, and I can make the background that color. Okay, now that I have my settings set, now I can take a look. The next section looks like it's an image as the whole background. So I want to create a new full width section, and I want that background to be an image. If I had an image, I would select it. If I were funnel hacking this page or migrating it, I could, usually you can right click an image and save image as. So maybe this is a little more complicated than just a simple image. But I would save the image, and then here in the green section settings, I would select the background image. So let's say this is the one that I was using. And I would just upload it. When you're doing a background, there are different types of settings that you can select for the fitting. And as soon as this loads, I will go over those. One is, okay, here we go. One is no repeat, so it just kind of puts the image there. I'm going to add some content so we can start to see the background. Okay, and then maybe I'll make the padding really big so we can start to see. Okay, so you see how it was no repeat, so it just kind of threw the image in there no matter how it is. On my screen that's a little larger, there's space here because it's not filling the whole space, it's just placed the image. I can also choose full center parallax, so when I can't, I can't scroll the page, so I can't show you. So let me just add some elements in here. Oops. To make the page longer so I can show you what it looks like when we scroll. Okay. And when I preview the page, you see how when I scroll the image stays the same in the background? That is the full center parallax setting. Fill 100% width is just that. It'll make sure the image stays 100%. But note that if you have a lot of content here in this section, then as soon as the image is done, you'll start to have the background color behind it. The next option is fill 100% width and height, which starts to distort the image, so make sure you're not necessarily doing that on people's faces. That works more for things like patterns that don't necessarily matter the proportions. They're not necessarily symmetrical. Then there's repeat. So here, where this first one ended, it actually just started to repeat the same image again. And then there's different types of repeating. So typically I like to stick with either full center parallax if it's a really large section and I need to be able to scroll and keep that image where it's at, or I can do the fill 100% width, but just keep in mind that when you do that on different screen sizes, as I make this screen smaller, as soon as the image ends, okay, well this image is big enough. If it ended early, there would start to be a little gap here on a screen of this size. So be sure you take into account how much, how many elements are in the section. Okay, so let's see what he has here. He has a button, but it's over here on the side. How do we make it so it left this part of the image alone, even though this was the background? So what he did was he created a 2-column row where, okay, so I can delete this, where one part of it was the button, and then the other part he actually just left blank. So if I wanted to move this, I could. If I wanted to move the button over, if I wanted it here, for example, and I would just leave this space blank. So then when I saved and previewed, this part of the image isn't covered up by the button. And I can make my screen size smaller, and that part of the image, say it's someone's face, isn't necessarily covered up. And then eventually it switches to the mobile view. Okay. All right, then he has another full width section, and it kind of looks like there is an image back behind there, but we'll just do a solid. Now, if I were actually migrating someone's page, I'd have to save the image and put that as the background. But we'll just do a basic blue color here. It's more like that. And like I showed you with the extension, I could, if I wanted to, pick the exact color. But I'm guessing you are probably going to want to use your own colors. And it looks like it's just one row, one column row, I should say, with a headline. And this headline is white, and it does look bold, so I'll leave that. And if I were copying the page, I would copy the text as well. And by copy, I mean I was migrating it. You'll want to put in, obviously, your own text. And I need to adjust the margins and padding as well on the blue and the green. So I hope by just kind of watching me, you're getting an idea of how you can work in the editor. Okay, next, it looks like we're getting into smaller green sections. So I'm just going to delete that. Okay, we want to add one, but we want it to be medium. And if I thought that were too small, I would just adjust it to wide. Or if I thought it were too big, I could go small or extra small. But I think medium is about right. So then it looks like we start with, oops, one column row and some. Okay, and to get this shadow around, I would take the entire, well, I'm going to take the entire section and go to the advanced and add the drop shadow. And then I can do things like round the corners. You can see his are rounded a little bit. Oh, but I need space up here. So what I'm going to do is in the settings, adjust the top margin. So I bring the whole green section down a little bit. Okay, well it looks like that's fine, but this is actually white. So then I can change the background color to white and continue working. Okay, but then this one is, well, it's actually kind of like a brick image. So what I'd want to do is add a new row. And then I'd want to change the background of that row. And it needs to go the full width, so I would take the left and right, padding away, so it would go the full width. And it looks like it's actually 2 columns, so I messed that up. But I'd do the same thing. Looks like this is over a little bit. Delete that one and start to add my elements. Okay, and there is even a button on this side. Sometimes if I just click, it doesn't necessarily pop up, so that's why sometimes I click and drag. And there's 2 here. This one's not bold. It looks like they're left aligned. And the one thing you want to make sure you do is save often. Okay, so if I were going to save this image and then add it, upload it, okay, and this looks like the corners are rounded and things like that. So you can, go through and change the themes and the settings and just keep adjusting. And if I thought it was too big, I could, try to make, it sizes different and things like that. So you kind of see, and you just kind of continue down, keep going. Okay, well, this section is extremely similar to this section. So what I would do is I'd probably duplicate and clone this blue row, and then all I'd have to do is, well, you see the one underneath it is similar, so I'd actually want it this many times. Only the one in the middle here, okay, well, it's not going to let me, there we go, is like this. So then I would just drag the elements and then make my changes. And so this one is, oops, I'm going to delete that, but make the background white. And the font, gotta change the font color. There you go. So you can kind of see it coming together a little bit. And I just continue down the page and keep adding elements as I go along. So then I'd save my work often, like I said, and preview it. And after I'm completely done, oh, and see, we have the setting on this one to where it's the parallax. And if I didn't like that, I'd go in and change the setting here. And since I changed that on the first one and not the second one, you can see now that one stays put and this one still is parallax. So when I'm completely done, that's when I go and adjust for mobile and see if I like the way it all looks or if there are any changes I need to make. And I hope that, me just kind of running through how you might, build a page and even funnel hack a page can be done in ClickFunnels. And as always, if you have any questions, be sure and shoot me an email and I'll do my best to answer. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.